Buonasera. My name is Caterina Borsato. Welcome to another episode of Regional Italian Cuisine. And in tonight's program, we're going to be travelling down the heel of Italy, Puglia, or Apulia as it's known in the Western world, Puglia to the Italians at home. Now, Puglia is an amazing area. I guess many years ago, it wasn't probably the talked about area. We were always talking about the north. But Puglia is a fantastic area which is bounded by about 75% of coastline. To the west, we have the areas of Basilicata and Campania, which are fairly mountainous areas. To the north of Puglia, we have the Abruzzi and Molise, which of course we all know are well known for those Italian cooking schools. And then, of course, as we're going down the coastline, it's the Adriatic Sea. And into the very far south of the heel, southwest side, we get the Mare Ionio. So that's just to give you an idea where we are in Italy. An amazing area because it, unlike its cousins or neighbours, it's fairly flat land. In fact, it's fantastic for cycling because it's such flat land. Amazing coastlines. And there has been an amazing amount of influence in this area and is actually quite evident in the food and the traditions of the area as well. Now, we had a lot of crusaders and invaders all the way through the centuries. You have enormous influence by the Greeks, and by that I mean that a lot of those coastal towns where a lot of the trading was going along, they in fact have left their mark in all the seafood dishes and soups and pastas that are found along the coast. Very minimal by the Spaniards, although there are some dishes like la tiella, which is the layers of rice and potato and mussels, for example. That is, believe it or not, a Spanish influence. And then there was the amazing Frederick II, who was really the last of the emperors in the mid-13th century. Now, he had the foresight to plant lots of olive groves and vineyards. And of course, because of the very dry and hot summers that they experienced there, they absolutely prospered because they don't need a lot of water. Pretty amazing, not so much in terms of the mountains, but of course you have all these fertile plains, so of course you're getting a lot of these amazing gardens, market gardens of vegetables, chickpeas, asparagus, all the wild herbs and like wild fennel that grows there, quite prolific. It's a land of cheese. It's a land of amazing wine as well, because years ago it was all the wine that was sort of thrown in, all the very, low-graded wines, but now it's making a stand in itself. We need to talk, I guess, a little bit about the towns. Foggia, which is found inland, and in fact tonight's segment we're going to be introducing some people from near there, and they have obviously vegetables feature very heavily in their diet because of where it's situated. Then you have the important area and coastal town of Bari. You have the coastal towns of Brindisi, and of course what they call the Athens of Italy, which is Lecce, which has these amazing, it's basically all fortified castles down there. But there is an amazing site called Alberobello, which is a town which is where the famous trulli are found. And trulli were these conical shaped, well, I guess that they were like little houses where all the roofs are actually bound together, but without mortar. And they are basically all over the countryside, which serve as, barns for the wheat farmers. We have to, of course, not forget, I won't say the lack of importance of meat, but meat is something that really is not so dominant in the Pugliese lives. And in tonight's recipes that we're going to show you, you'll understand why. And they're very clever people, because even the fish sticks, for example, they would make a base of tomato and onions and maybe use some of the stones from the sea that were embedded with the mollusks and algae, and that's where they got the flavour from the sea. They actually didn't have any seafood in these actual soups. People that are joining us on tonight's program, Signora Carolina and Joe, they're from a town called San Marco in Lamas. Yes. Now, San Marco in Lamas, a lot of people migrated from that area here into Australia, yes. And I know that they do have their own social club here in Carlton.
Well, what she has done first off is she's chopped onion and whole cloves of garlic, and she started off with a bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan.
in my research, the sort of the northern part of Puglia uses more garlic, but as you go down towards the south, they're actually using more
that's
onions,
correct,
which is
that's
interesting.
correct. Then they'll put 4 types of meats in there, which is a pork hock, beef ossobuco, a poultry, and a beef shoulder as well.
So, because the bones give it lots and lots of flavour. And with the meat, do we need to brown off the meat, or is it just cut up?
After the first stage of browning off your onions and garlic, you brown off your meat a little bit to get that flavour.
So that's already in the pot before you put the sauce in.
It's got that lovely flavour starting. Put your sauce, and then obviously with the meats being on the bone and being a hard cut of meat, that will infuse out to the sauce and make it a nice meaty tomato sauce.
So it's a meat-flavoured sauce without eating the meat, basically. And then I guess that's the big difference between the north and the south, because they immerse the meat in the sauce and they use the sauce, which is flavoured with the meat, to dress the pasta. Signora Carolina is making un omeletta, like a really light frittatina, isn't it?
So the way she's made that is that, as you can see, she's got lots of oil in the pan. She's beaten up the eggs, and she just put whole leaf of parsley through it and some garlic. Yes. And then she'll
bit of cheese in there.
Yes, beat it up.
Give it a really. Does it need a really heavy beating?
Yes.
Or?
Yes. Like as if you're making an omelette at home.
Yes. So just with the fork, or do we need a whisk?
No, with a fork. Fork's fine.
Tuck, 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 tuck.
That's all the Italians know. Is the fork. All their hands. And then they place it in the pan, and as you can see, you just let the egg cook all the way through, and just with 2 forks. She slowly rolls it over, so it becomes like a nice log. Then she'll quickly just cut that up and place it into that sugo that she's made, and only because it's already cooked. Yes. And then she'll pull that out, put that with the meat as well, and they eat that as well. So
that becomes like a side to the meat.
Yeah. So you get all your proteins and everything covered in one suget.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh, wow.